Okay. Streaming commenced.
Okay.
And then we're starting with this 201.
All right, let me go. A company is
Thank you.
developing a marketing communications service that targets mobile app users. The company needs to send confirmation messages with short message service to its users. The users must be able to reply the SMS messages. The company must store the responses for a year for analysis.
Sorry.
What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? A. Create an Amazon Connect contact flow to send the SMS messages. Use Lambda to process the responses. Build build an Amazon pinpoint journey. Configure Amazon pinpoint to send events to an Amazon Kinesis data stream for analysis. Analysis and archiving. C. Use Amazon simple queue service to distribute the SMS messages. Use AWS Lambda to process the responses. Create an Amazon simple notification service, FIFO topic. Subscribe an Amazon Kinesis data stream to the SNS topic for analysis and archiving. The company wants able
First in, first out. And the company needs to send confirmation messages to users to reply. So there's a back and forth. So it's not just a push. The user must be able to reply to the SMS messages, and then that message response from the user is stored for a year for analysis. So pinpoint streaming data, I'm not sure that will be appropriate for this with an Amazon pinpoint journey. I'm not familiar with pinpoint as such. This is probably the first time I'm actually hearing pinpoint. The key thing to distribute the message doesn't address the storing of the question of the data. And in fact, none of them. Connect contact flow to send message. Use Lambda to process the responses. These two, C and A, are using Lambda to process the responses. And then B and D, Kinesis data stream for analysis and archiving. Okay, analysis and archiving. I think this D serves a good option because SNS is one of Amazon's biggest services, right? It works in this context of sending messages. I think I might have cut you off when you were talking. Did you already finish what you were saying?
No, you didn't cut me off.
Okay. Do you have any particular opinions concerning this question?
I don't even know the pinpoint, but the D also
yeah. So I know like Lambda function to process the what do you call it? The messages that are coming in is not necessarily the best when you are comparing it with Kinesis data stream. Kinesis data stream will give you like a better performance for something like this.
So between C and B and D have Kinesis data stream.
Yes.
The only difference is pinpoint versus SNS FIFO.
Yes. And I'm comfortable with SNS, but I don't know pinpoints. I don't know anything about pinpoints.
Let me just check what pinpoints means first. Pinpoint journey. Okay, so they said Amazon pinpoint journeys are used to create customized multi-step customer engagement experiences. This includes sending messages, splitting customers into groups, and more. Use cases: sending messages, that's emails, text messages, push notification, in-app, voice messages, splitting customers into groups based on their behavior. That's another one. Then another one is sending messages to the right customer. Let's see. A company is developing a marketing communication service that targets mobile apps users. The company needs to send notification messages with short messages to its users. Users must be able to reply the SMS messages.
Yeah, I think the fact that pinpoint is actually able to segment users, that makes this reply process very good. You know, when we're talking about having a one-to-one communication, so that you know that oh, this message is actually reaching the appropriate user. From what you've read, you might not have come across pinpoint before, but from what you've read, I think pinpoint will be able to do it. It's like a more fine-tuned SNS,
Yeah.
simple
Yeah.
notifications for finding, yes, there's a way they call it in, at least I've seen it in Azure documentations. Um, Fine grain something. I can't remember the other word that they used to define it, but when you're able to get into the nitty-gritty and like make specific modifications as opposed to like having like a broad system where you can like make granular modifications. Let's do this. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, no bad.
Pinpoint.
Yeah, because it made sense. Company effectively sending messages to mobile app user configuration of journeys. Yeah, enable tracking. Wow. Okay, this is one for the books. Pinpoints. One for the books. Okay. The data must be encrypted. Additionally, the encryption key must be automatically use server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed encryption keys SS3. Okay, this is what we're saying the other day. KMS S3 versus SSE S3. So moving on. Use the built-in key rotation behavior of SSSS3
It fits all the breaking.
encryption keys. Okay, so this SS, my audio is breaking.
Oh,
okay, let me change my ISP. Yeah,
Internet service provider.
as it.
Bad one. Bad, but
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it good?
yeah. Um,
Jeremy, let me off my video so that my job becoming smoother. My
true.
I switched from MTN to Airtel. Hopefully this is better. But I get my audio clearly.
Yeah.
Okay,
For this
great.
question,
Yeah.
are we done reading it?
No. Well, no, I just read the first option, but you can go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to suggest B as a response.
Hmm.
The key
Okay.
AWS CMS with automatic key rotation. That is. Oh, there's another one like that. The
Okay.
encrypted.
So he said the data must be encrypted when it is stored in the S3 bucket. The
Okay.
S3 bucket is sorry, I cut you off.
No.
Okay. So this SSE has server-side encryption.
Mm-hmm.
This S3 also is literally sitting on the server on AWS side. And then moving forward, you want to look for okay, so encryption key is rotated every year, right?
Yes.
This is another key point, key requirement. And then with least operational overhead. This one says create key management service.
Okay.
Customer managed key, enable automatic rotation.
Okay. I don't think that's right.
Set the S3 buckets to use customer managed keys, move the data.
Is it with customer managed?
No, because it said least operational overhead.
Yeah.
So when I'm making a customer manager cancels out these two options, right? Because if they didn't say least operational overhead, and then you can consider customer managed. So, but this option, right? Let me see this one first. Encrypt data with the customer key material before moving the data to S3. This is already overhead. So
Which
yeah, manually encrypting the data, right? But this one, right, where it just says move the data to the S3 bucket straight up. And then while it's on S3, you're using the server-side encryption. This server is literally AWS's server. Server-side encryption um, with Amazon S3 managed encryption keys. Use the built-in rotation. So that would account for this requirement to rotate every year. And the fact that Amazon S3 managed encryption key would account for this requirement here. Because but the reason, yeah, go ahead.
This KMS is literally a management service that they're offering,
Yes.
and it would directly, because the first option move data to S3, use server-side encryption with the Amazon S3 managed encryption keys, use the built-in. I feel like this B is less operational overhead than A. I feel A requires more because B, there's the enable automatic key rotation, um, which is very important. But B says so, but A says use the built-in key rotation behavior. So I don't know if that is even automated, but B is definitely automated. So that would definitely reduce the
Okay.
overhead.
Yes. So the one thing you want to also consider here is this customer managed key that is seen here. The customer in the first place has to even present the keys. But for option A, the customer is not presenting keys. It's coming in and then using the encryption that is available on the server side. That's the SSE, server side encryption. Because it says so use the built-in key rotation behavior of the SSE-S3 encryption keys. So you're coming there to meet the encryption keys as opposed to bringing your keys into the key management service. So except you really want to just use your encryption keys, then you can bring them in. But here, you're just making use of the built-in keys, the encryption keys that are there on the server side. You get the network cut out. David, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, yeah, like I was saying, B involves using customer managed keys, and that requires the company to manage the keys and monitor the key rotation process. So even this enabling, right, is part of operational overhead. Even though you're still doing that here, but it's like you're doing this rotation with the keys that are already there. That's the way I see this question. You get. Anyways, let's move forward with this one. Yeah, because okay, you see, it was heavily debated actually. Let's have a look. Sorry.
Keyword is
S3 uses keys that are managed by Amazon. This point here, SSE S3 uses keys that are managed by Amazon S3. Built-in keys, automatic keys. Yeah, so you're meeting keys there. So this SSE S3 is literally Amazon that is managing the encryption keys. So that is less overhead on your part, as opposed to bringing your customer keys and then managing them. You can still enable the automatic rotation, but that's still management on your part.
that makes sense.
What you debate both.
Hold on. Go up a yeah. Everybody is so debated on this thing. But this was 2 years ago, Sha. So
Yeah. But this person said, anyway,
no, he was going for B for the rotation reason.
A also has a rotation, funny enough. No. Wait, let me see. Is this person Abi? This one. He said you need to upload it, which is operational overhead. There's no reference for how often these keys are rotated. To rotate to a new key, you need to upload it, which is operational overhead. For every year, it requires operational overhead. A is using Amazon's encryption.
SSE.
Yes. Except for B, whilst you have to set up KMS once, you don't have to do anything else, which I would say is least operational overhead. There's no change in encryption of objects that existed in before default encryption was enabled.
I don't know. Let me see. That SS3, you can configure it. You can configure the rotation, right?
Yes, SSE.
Like the user can configure the rotation.
Yes, yes. This person that is saying SS doesn't know, it changes master key to nothing, which creates new cipher key and stores it. It's the data must be encrypted. The key must be automatically rotated every year. So if you're creating a new key, as opposed to reusing a subset of keys,
There's more
I
operations
feel that
great
yeah.
that to reuse.
Okay, he came back to correct himself.
Nice.
Okay. I think this has been debunked earlier.
Oh, and see, they also said
This machine.
SS3 there are no charges. Sorry, SSE S3 there are no charges. The 3 weeks, 3 days. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good point.
Let's give a question, man.
Right. The customers of a finance company request appointments with financial advisors by sending text messages. The web application that runs on Amazon's EC2 instances accepts the appointment requests. The text messages are published on an Amazon SQSQ through the web application. Another application that runs on EC2 instances then sends meeting invitations. And meeting confirmations, emails, messages to the customers. After successfully scheduling, this application stores the meeting information in an Amazon DB database, DynamoDB database. As the company expands, customers report that their meeting invitations are taking longer to arrive, What should a solutions architect recommend to resolve this issue? Add a DynamoDB accelerator DAX cluster in front of the DynamoDB database. Add an Amazon API gateway in front of the web application that accepts the appointment request. See, add an Amazon CloudFront distribution. Set the origin as the web application. No, no. Set the origin as the web application that accepts the appointment request. D. Add an auto-scaling group for the application that sends meeting invitations. Configure the auto-scaling group to scale based on the depth of the SQS queue. I think D is looking good though, because I mean it's addressing the capacity. Because if you look at the question, they're saying after successfully scheduling the application, yes, and technical publishes another application runs.
Yeah, I think the other options are not addressing like the issue.
I'm looking for where the question said this thing is slowing down. Yes.
As the company expands, customers report that their meeting invitation are taking longer time to arrive.
Where is that?
Yes. So this DAX cluster is not really going to help. It would improve like your read performances, normal. But if for sending your what do you call it, meeting invitations, that's not where it's at. I think the only one that really addresses this best is this auto scaling group for the application that is actually sending the meeting invitations out.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. There should be no debate on that answer. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, let me take this one. An online retail company has more than 50 million active customers and receives more than 25,000 orders each day. The company collects purchase data for customers and stores this data in Amazon S3. Additional customer data is stored in Amazon RDS. The company wants to make all the data available to various teams so that the teams can perform analytics. The solution must provide the ability to manage fine-grained permissions. I think this is what I was trying to piece out that time. Fine-grained permissions for the data and must minimize operational overhead. These people, they don't like operational overhead at all. Honestly, every time, every question, overhead. Which of the solution will meet these requirements? A. Migrate the purchase data to write directly to Amazon RDS. Use RDS access controls to limit access. B. Schedule an AWS Lambda function to periodically copy data from Amazon RDS to Amazon S3. Create an AWS Glue crawler. Use Amazon Athena to query
Application.
What's your talk?
It's long.
is long, but the others are longer.
Yeah.
So use S3 policies to limit access. Create a data lake by using Amazon lake formation. Create an AWS glue. Where they bring this one from? JDBC connection to Amazon RDS. Register the S3 bucket in lake formation. Use lake formation access controls to limit access. Lake formation access controls. Okay. Makes sense. Create an Amazon Redshift cluster. Redshift. Okay. Let's see. Use Lambda function to periodically copy data from
S3 and RDS to Redshift. Use Redshift access control to limit access.
Redshift can perform analytics.
Yeah, it's for warehousing and some archival storage. That's what I remember Redshift for. Migrate the purchase data to write directly to Amazon RDS. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that one. Okay. The company wants to make all the data available to various teams so that teams can perform analytics. This A migrate the purchase data directly to RDS, use RDS to limit access.
How does that compensate for the analytical performance?
I don't even see that happening.
Yeah.
I wonder what this piece, this AWS Glue JDBC connection.
Yeah, let's look at it, but I don't know what it is also.
It's a new one for me. Let me coin it.
Okay. Says JDBC can also do analytics. Java database connectivity.
Java database connectivity.
In AWS Glue. You can use it to connect relational databases to extract or load data as part of your ETL workloads.
So it should be able to function outside of Glue because there's no Glue in this option.
Okay.
For fine grain permission.
I think JDBC works with Glue.
Yeah, that was what I was just about to say.
It says when working with JDBC in AWS Glue, you can connect it to relational databases.
Because these other options are not very enticing.
I was saying Redshift could perform analytics, but I'm also seeing here that JDBC can be used for analytical purposes as well.
Okay. I think Redshift would make it complex in some sense. But this lake formation is good. Very, very good for what we're trying to do. Because if you want to have this type of fine-grained management of your permissions, out of all these other ones, you can do it best with this lake formation. Because this cluster. Okay.
Fine grained sound.
I think for fine-grained access control, the AWS lake formation would directly solve or would directly get us there. All the other options don't have AWS lake formation. Literally no other option has AWS lake formation.
I'm considering that this is a lot of data that's coming in. You are receiving more than 25,000 orders each day, right? And yes, collecting the purchase data and you're storing the data. So, I mean, all things considered, lake formation should be able to ingest the data, process the data, and then
I can't imagine doing this without lake formation.
Actually,
all right, now let's have a look. I think okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, 100%. Wow. Now we're deliberating here. A company hosts a marketing website in an on-premises data center. The website consists of static documents and run on a single server. An administrator updates the website content infrequently and uses an SFTP client to upload new documents. Secure File Transfer Protocol clients. That's what that SFTP stands for.
Oh, thank you.
The company hosts, which solution will meet these requirements? A, create a virtual server by using Amazon Lightsail. Okay, configure the web server in the Lightsail instance. Upload website content by using an SFTP client. Okay, create AWS auto-scaling group for Amazon EC2 instances. Use an application load balancer. Upload website content by using an SFTP client. Okay. Sure. Create a private Amazon S3 bucket. Use an S3 bucket policy to allow access from a CloudFront origin. We've answered the question like this. Using this CloudFront origin access identity. Okay, let's upload website content by using the AWS CLI. Okay, create public Amazon S3 bucket, configure S3 AWS transfer for SFTP, configure the S3 bucket for website hosting, upload website content by using the SFTP client. Create this one starts by saying create private S3 bucket, which is good. This one starts by saying create a public S3 bucket.
Normal state manager sending your report before meeting time. I don't say you actually write. Say time don't come down to them.
I'm not sure this should be desirable from a security standpoint. Okay. I don't think that would be desirable. This makes more sense. Having a private S3. This EC2 instances is going to be costly. It's going to be costly. It's not going to be as cost effective as they are hoping for in the question by using Lightsail. It's like, you guys know if Lightsail is fully managed? Because I can't.
They just forward it on like last week.
I think I'm more comfortable with this option. Because even when just reading the options, right? This, when I came here, it resonates with me more.
Yeah, me too. Besides, I just checked the light seal is partially managed.
Okay, it's not fully managed. So there's going to be some complexity if you decide to go and use Amazon Light Seal.
She's screening.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. People also wanted D. I'll change it. So it's very clear hint about which cannot be addressed by authority. You mentioned it, which is part of the requirement of the solution. Yeah. I think that should have even just solved it. Seeing CloudFront there. Okay. 206. Actually, do you want to take this one?
Okay. The company wants to manage Amazon Machine Images, AMIs. The company currently copies AMIs to the same AWS region where the AMIs were created. The company needs to design an application that captures AWS API calls and sends alerts whenever the Amazon EC2 instance EC2 creates image API operation is called within the company's account. Let me take that again. The company needs to design an application that captures AWS API calls and sends alerts whenever the Amazon EC2 creates image API. This API operation is called within the company's account. Which of the following will make this requirement be the least operational? A. Create an AWS Lambda function to query AWS CloudTrail to send an alert when the create image API is detected, API call. Configure AWS CloudTrail with Amazon SNS that occur when updated logs are sent to Amazon S3. Use Amazon Athena to create a new table and query the create image API when an API call is detected. C. Create an Amazon event bridge, Amazon CloudWatch events. Amazon CloudWatch events rule for the create image API call. Configure the target as an Amazon SNS service. Service topic to send an alert when it creates image API is detected. D. Configure an Amazon simple queue service, SQS full queue, as target for the AWS CloudTrail logs. Create an AWS Lambda function to send an alert to an Amazon SNS topic when it creates image API is detected.
Captures the API calls and sends alerts whenever the EC2 instance API operation is called. So there's SNS involved. There's API management with okay, and it needs to read. It needs to know that if this Lambda function is to query the logs before knowing to send out
that before knowing that there was to send out this alert, it will be too slow.
Hmm.
Too slow. So you need something that is actively watching. Actively watching. CloudTrail is actively logging, right? So it's not actively watching. So you need something that will watch the system to know when to make the call.
But then
The
again,
only
Event Bridge is is fully managed bus service, and it detects events from the AWS service. Then it invokes like the targets such as like Lambda functions or SNS topics. But obviously you have to define the rules. So I mean, if you create the rules that match in the question, it says creative image API operation. So if you use Amazon Event Bridge, I think it can automatically trigger a specific target, I think. But in this case, that's basically an SNS topic, right?
Yeah, so the event bridge is the only solution here that is actively watching the systems and I will be able to know at the point where this call was made so it can send out the alerts. Um, SQS is a tool that can be used to facilitate, right? But it doesn't come into place here. SNS is even a better tool because it will send out the notification after being triggered by CloudWatch. I've always known it as CloudWatch, but this one that I said, Event Bridge,
I'm even happy
it's
they put the CloudWatch right beside it because literally that's what we're trying to do.
yeah, watch and then so when you're doing things like event-driven architectures, these are the type of tools you'll be making use of because you want one action to trigger another action to trigger another action, and then it's now the case of if yes, go here, if no, go here, if and then when you now get to that other position, if 50% do this, if 80% do that. So that is a type of events-driven architecture that this would be a good solution for. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, and since Events Bridge is a fully managed service, is even less operational overhead.
Yes, and we all know, even without looking at the question, you can bet that they want least operational overhead.
Yeah.
Because, like I said the other time, you're relinquishing control on the one that. So most likely that's going to be a little bit of debate here, but nothing. Lambda function was the top debated one here. Because lambda functions are also useful in event-driven architectures, but something needs to trigger the lambda function. Okay. A company owns a synchronous API that is used to ingest user requests and based on the request type, dispatch requests to the appropriate microservices for processing. So you need an intelligent routing solution. The company is using Amazon API Gateway to deploy the API front end and an AWS Lambda function that invokes Amazon DB to store user requests before dispatching them to the processing microservices. That invokes DB so the request is being stored before going. Okay, the company provisioned as much DB throughput as its budget allows, so it's at its limits. But the company is still experiencing availability issues and is losing
user requests. Okay. Wow. What should the solution architect do to address this issue? Okay, straight off the bat, right? Your DB, the DynamoDB, isn't performing as you want it to. This accelerator improves both reads and writes of your DB instance. But since they said that they have reached their budget in this question, if you add this DB accelerator, they're going to increase their costs. And you don't want to increase their costs. What you can then do, if they had a FIFO, that would be good. So that you make sure that these user requests that are being lost are stored in the queue and only allowed to go out after being processed. First in, first out. So that you stop losing user requests. Because once they're in a queue, then your DB throughput, like the performance of the DB throughput, will just remain constant because it's being served one after the other instead of being overwhelmed and then losing user requests. Because it's when your server is overwhelmed that it can now lose some things that are supposed to come in. Just imagine you have a hose and you're trying to pour the hose inside a bucket, inside the, what do you call it, bucket or something, and then there's so much water coming in that is spilling out of the sides of the hose. If you're not careful, you might not get everything into the bucket. Yeah, that's just an analogy to give an idea of what we're trying to say here. So once you have a queue, it kind of ensures that the hose you're using is not bigger than the bucket they are trying to pour into. And then that queue is able to feed your DB steadily without overwhelming it. So I think this throttling is about limiting. Actually, remember we spoke about throttling that day when we were answering that question.
Yeah.
It's about limiting okay, even says it here. Throttling limits. DynamoDB, yeah. User requests, a secondary index. This will also increase cost. So this queue would be the best. Yeah, barely any debate on that. Okay. David, if you're available to read this question, I would appreciate. Okay, let me read the question.
I was muted. I didn't even know. I was already reading. Let me continue. So a company needs to move data from an Amazon EC2 instance to Amazon S3 buckets. Yeah. So the company must ensure that no API calls and no data are routed through public internet nodes. So we need a private. Only the EC2 instances can have access to the upload data to the S3 bucket. Which solution will meet these requirements? A, create an interface VPC endpoint for Amazon S3 in the subnet where the EC2 instance is located. Attach a resource policy to the S3 bucket to only allow the EC2 instances IAM for access. B, create a gateway VPC endpoint for Amazon
S3 in the availability zone where the EC2 instance is located. Attach appropriate security groups to the endpoint. Attach a resource policy to the S3 bucket to only allow the EC2 instances IAM rule for access. Okay. B and C. Run the NS lookup tool. I don't even know this NS. The NS lookup tool from inside the EC2 instance to obtain the private IP address of the S3 bucket service API endpoint. Create a route in the VPC route to provide the EC2 instance with access to the S3 buckets. Attach a resource policy to the S3 bucket to only allow the EC2 instances IAM rule for access. D. Use the AWS provided publicly available IP ranges JSON files, JSON files, okay, to obtain the private IP address of the S3 buckets service API endpoint. Create a route in the VPC route to provide EC2 instances with access to the S3 buckets. Okay, attach a resource policy to the S3 buckets to only allow EC2 instances IAM room for access. This D. I don't know.
So, one thing we always go back to anytime we don't want to traverse the internet, we find endpoints.
Yes.
We find VPC endpoints to be specific. So for me, that rules out A, C, and D. That leaves us with A and B. I'm leaning towards B. I'm just leaning towards B because I feel like it addresses the point. You have a VPC, gateway VPC endpoint in the availability zone where the EC2 instance is located. But A says subnet where the EC2 instance is located. I think B looks good, in my opinion, sure.
Yeah, that's possible.
So I'm just trying to understand. If the gateway endpoint uses internet gateway or NAT gateway, does that not mean that the traffic will still go over the public internet?
No, does it say the gateway VPC endpoint uses an internet gateway? It shouldn't. It shouldn't use a NAT or internet gateway. The VPC endpoint is typically something that the systems can just point to directly, especially if you had like on-premise systems. Or are you saying that the difference between the interface and the gateway is that the gateway is traversing through the internet?
No, the main point I was even trying to get at was that the option B says gateway endpoints, and I thought gateway endpoints they were like another type of VPC endpoints. So I was like, because there's interface endpoints in the interface VPC endpoint in option A, and there's gateway VPC endpoint in option B. So those two things are what I'm trying to differentiate. Do you get? Okay. So interface VPC endpoint and VPC and gateway VPC endpoint. Those are just the two things I'm just trying to differentiate here, because I don't know which one. I was thinking it would be gateway VPC endpoint that will use the internet gateway or NAT gateway, while the interface VPC endpoint, I was thinking it was the interface. I was thinking the interface VPC endpoint is one that might be most suitable, since it wouldn't go over the internet. But that's what I'm just not sure of, whether the gateway VPC endpoint is using a NAT gateway. Because interface and gateway they're just the two things that I'm trying to differentiate here. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. I think there is a difference between the two, but right now I can't say for sure. But that's gateway VPC endpoint. Like any VPC endpoint is designed for private access into the VPC, and then you can now communicate with the systems within the VPC, right? So I think there is that. I think gateway is more legacy in terms of having been there for like longer. Like there was a gateway load balancer, right? Before they now brought out your NLBs and your ALBs, there was a gateway load balancer. So the concept of gateway, VPC, gateway, they are more legacy.
What does that sound like?
Been there. Sorry?
What does that sound like, Momsi?
Momsi.
Yeah, call his mom. That voice can distract me any day, bro.
That's interesting.
Sorry to cut you short.
No, yeah, good, Jack. I was even thinking about, like, because I've not been to college in a minute. So it was crossing my mind today that I shall not stop by. But yeah, is Momsi in the country? I don't know. I think she's out though. Okay. That was LD. So actually, she's close to you now. No, I think she went to Thailand. Okay. That's a vibe. That's a vibe.
Doing it for real, man.
Okay, so I was saying gateway for me sounded more legacy, and if you're trying to connect to like the EC2 instance, EC2 instance is one of the foundational services of AWS. So I think if there were new things that you're trying to connect to within the VPC, maybe you would now go with the interface VPC, because it just allows you to connect to newer things that are there. But legacy things like your S3 or EC2 instance, I think it will be fine for that. That's just what I feel. Yeah, but so let's just see. Oh, okay.
Endpoint.
So let's read. Let's see what's up here. Cannot attach a security group to gateway endpoints. It is possible. Yeah, no. No, it's not. Gateway endpoint will be used as a target in a route table. Does not use security groups. Database VPC for Amazon would not provide direct connection between EC2 instance and S3 buckets. Come on, let me coin this. Oh my days. Start logging. I don't get it. It's not even allowing me to go. Hold on, let me refresh this page. The internet is bad. Hold on, let me try DeepSeek. Friend said it can't be reached. No. Network is very bad. This is Airtel. Okay. Sorry, I had to switch back to MTN because my Airtel will be leaving. So let me continue sharing. Coin has been able to load. So let's see what it says about the question. Okay. Coin also goes with A because the gateway endpoint partially meet the requirements. It incorrectly referenced security groups, making it invalid. Okay. So gateway endpoints and security groups don't, yeah, do not support security groups. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, a solutions architect is designing the architecture of a new application being deployed in the AWS cloud. The application will run on Amazon EC2 on-demand instances and will automatically scale across multiple AZs. The EC2 instance will scale up and down frequently throughout the day. An application load balancer ALB will handle the load distribution. An architect needs to support distribution session data, distributed data management. Community is willing to make changes to the code if needed. What should the architect do to ensure that the architecture supports distributed session data management? Distributed session data management. Actually, did you say something?
No, no, I'm reading into.
Okay. So session management, when I read that, my mind goes to sticky sessions. If you enable sticky sessions on your Amazon systems, when I think we've spoken about this before, when somebody logs off and goes away and comes back, they can continue from where they left off. So seeing sticky sessions here is helpful for me. Um, using Amazon Elasticache to manage and store data sessions. Okay. Oh, wait. Hold on. Session manager to manage files. Okay. Okay. I think the question is actually this instance scaling up and down frequently throughout the day would actually affect the use of sticky sessions. Because imagine you are stuck to a an EC2 instance, right? And then that EC2 instance, the server goes down. If the server goes down, you can't continue your session when you come back. But if the server stays up, you can. But this one is telling us that the EC2 instance will scale up and down throughout the day. So you want to prevent against that. So Elasticache coming here to store your session would actually make more sense. Normal. I would have, if I didn't read it again, I would have gone with this one. Because, excuse me.
Because session management, if oh god, it's something that it's something that sticky session is made for. So if this caveat wasn't there for me, I'd have gone with sticky sessions. Right. But this is a more robust solution, given that you are going to lose some of the instances that you have throughout the day. So if an instance dies and then comes back, you can just point to the cache, point to your elastic cache, and it'll continue from there. And the elastic cache is decoupled from the storage of the instance. So that helps a lot. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. That'd have been 100% went for A. Okay, actually, David. Okay, I think David has read. Actually, if you don't mind taking this one, I'm going to go for.
Swear to God. A company offers a food delivery service that is growing rapidly, of course, not child. Because of the growth, the company's order processing system is experiencing scaling problems during peak traffic hours. The current architecture includes the following: a group of Amazon EC2 instances that run in an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling group to collect orders from the application. Another group of EC2 instances that run in an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling group to fulfill the orders. So different EC2 instances, one for collecting and one for fulfilling, both in an auto-scaling group. The order collection process occurs quickly, but the order fulfillment process can take longer. Data must not be lost because of the scaling event. Okay, so the order collection process occurs quickly, but the fulfillment takes longer. So the fulfillment is okay. A solutions architect must ensure that the order collection process and fulfillment process can both scale properly during the peak hours. The solution must optimize utilization of the company's AWS resources. Which solution meets these requirements? A. Use Amazon Cloud Watch metrics to monitor the CPU of each instance in the auto-scaling group. Configure each auto-scaling group's minimum capacity according to the peak workload values. Use Amazon Cloud Watch metrics to monitor the CPU of each instance in the auto-scaling group. Configure a Cloud Watch alarm to invoke an Amazon simple notification service topic that creates additional auto-scaling groups on demand. Provision 2 Amazon Simple Queue Service SQS queues, one for order collection and another for order fulfillment. Configure the EC2 instances to pull their respective queues. Scale the auto-scaling groups based on notifications that the queue sends. Provision 2 Amazon Simple Queue Service queues, one for order collection and another for order fulfillment. Consider the EC2 instances to pull their respective queue. Create a metric-based backlog per instance calculation. Scale the auto-scaling groups based on this metric. What do you think, Phil? This one, there are two auto-scaling groups,
Yeah,
two EC2 instances. but the auto scaling process occurs quickly, but the fulfillment process takes longer. So it's basically the fulfillment process that
is the issue.
During peak hours is experiencing those problems.
Like, definitely using an auto scaling group is going to be very beneficial. But how do you use the auto scaling group? C and D are talking about different ways. In fact, all the options. But I've been looking at C and D because they're very similar. Like word for word, first sentence, word for word, second sentence, third sentence creates metric-based backlog on a backlog. And the other one says scale. The auto scaling group based on the notifications that the query sends, that the queue sends.
My question about C is when that last sentence, scale the auto scaling groups based on the notification. Are we the ones who scale the auto scaling groups or it's automatic?
It should be automatic. It should be, in fact, it should be event driven.
Event driven, yeah.
Yes, it should be event driven. So, and that's what D does. D is creating a backlog. So, based on that metric, so it's create a metric based, create a metric based on a backlog, right? So it's now going to be reading, oh, the backlog is what, 20, right? Backlog is now 50, backlog is now 100. And then there will be a tipping point that will trigger the creation, or rather the scaling of the auto scaling groups to now take place based on that metric from the backlog. So it's events driven. So instead of just scaling manually based on the queues that are sent, you now scale based on the metric. That makes more sense. Right. Because you have set the threshold and it's not saying that, okay, I've reached that threshold. Now let's take action. As for the other options, CloudWatch metrics, I don't think it's addressing the fulfillment per se as effectively as this other option. I think C and D address the fulfillment well, but like D does it better.
Yeah.
Because it's scaling based on an event occurring.
It's based on and the that creating metric based on backlog per instance calculation. Is that basically like setting a threshold for it for the
Yes.
I think that's the best way to go about it then.
Same. David, do you have any thoughts concerning this question? Okay, maybe David is away from his keyboard. But yeah, makes sense. Yeah, almost no debate on this. Makes sense. When the backlog reaches a target value, the scale out will happen. Exactly what we need. Okay. All right. Sequence.
It's not tired.
Yesterday we had conference in church, and it was a lot because I was doing protocol, so I never really rest properly. Even the food they give me from church, I never chop out. Honestly.
Go chop your church blessing now.
Honestly, I go chop on myself reach out. So,
No. Well, bro.
so no, I've done 210 questions. We
Yeah.
continue later.
All right.
I remember when did we start? We started 20. The one and only noodles. Agree to. We started 120, so this is like about an hour 30. I appreciate your chat, my dear. I appreciate your chat. This is my first day in the office and I'm on my desk. All right. So end the streaming now. And then call it a day. So tomorrow I'm going to Kaduna. So I won't be able to do this because I'll be in transit and all. So anyhow, so but either Wednesday should be the next time. Wednesday should be the next time. I'm alright. Take care, guys. Bye.
All right, bro. Nice one and bless.
Take care. Have a nice day.
You too, bro.